We've started season 8, and here we are yet again. So, yeah, let's go. Yep, NGS, where a lot of at least where I got started getting involved in the NA side of esports, way back in the old days of season 1. So, yeah, it's good being back here in the regular season. I say in air quotes, and gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, it makes it hard for us because we like relying on as other teams do, but we like relying on information to be able to like weave you the fine storyline that can tell you how matches and series and seasons are going to go and what to expect. But unfortunately, there is no thread here, so we're just going to have to try and make do with what we can find in the closet.
Our time has come.
Yep, and speaking of the Artanis, we have it picked up by Louis GG for Demonic Entity, so gonna already be pulling ahead in the race competition that will be beginning.
Need a light. Selama Ashalanore. Anytime you're ready.
Yep, and looks like for the third game in a row, according to again our n equals 1 sample size of matches, we do have Jimmy picked up, so that has been 100% participation so far for Demonic Entity. So good for this map. Can take the is it I don't think it's Executioner. I think it's like Exterminate or something on one for immortal damage. So another really strong race pickup. Yep, tend to agree with that. Tend yeah. And you try and play a lot of Lucio. It's
The light abandons
huh.
no man.
Yeah, it depends on how you want to run the Uther as. Personally, as long as you're running an Uther in a composition, it makes me smile, at least on the inside, so that is fine by me. That is not a lot of race, though, so they are essentially conceding the race. You cannot beat Artanis and Raynor with any single hero added over to the Bread Rising side here, so, you know, mm-hmm.
Here we go again.
And a Chromie. Yeah, but does it really matter? Like I've played and seen enough BOE where even though you can play defensive, you might even get a 4-man wipe or 5-man wipe. And then you just come back again the second time because the team can't even take it to halftime with how little race there is Red Rising, and you come in and then you're at completely full health and mana, and you can actually win the fight and burn a full immortal down. So it doesn't just have to be one fight win; it's going to have to be repetitive fight wins for Red Rising to be able to make this comp work, and it's going to be difficult. And so, we'll have to see how it works out for him. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I was making sure. No, I was gonna see if we had toasters or somebody's got a toaster or Blizzard has a toaster. But I think it'll just kick in just a second. But and steroid injected hamsters. Coward. Yeah, I like it. I like what I see. That's as a it looks like Drill is not loading in, so it might be a drop and a disconnect to start. So yeah. Hey Ektar, I can't hear you on stream. I can't hear you on stream. Make sure your mic's going out. I I can hear you. I've heard you the whole time, obviously, but we'll have to wait for the stream delay, and we will have a little bit of pause time more than likely. But
Blues. Let's do this. Testing again. Hey, my voice is coming through on the stream finally.
there we go.
There's been a really one-sided conversation happening on my stream, which might explain why the viewer count dropped quite a bit after the first couple of minutes, and I genuinely cannot blame anyone for that, other than myself.
Yep. Yeah. Welcome to now the Ace and Ektar podcast.
Yes.
Now it's not just Ace talking into an empty void of an Ektar stream.
I mean, I would watch that for a couple of minutes.
I mean, I talk into an empty void of my stream, and I average 5 viewers.
Yeah, I watch
3
your stream
people are
for a
legally
couple of
obliged.
minutes.
So, see.
All right, and we are in the game. Looks like we did not have any disconnects. So we have now spawning in on the left-hand side in the Blue Trunks Bread Rising Yeast Sports with McGiblets playing the Rhaegar. We've got Linehouse playing Uther. Shenanigans, because I'm not going to say the name backwards, playing the Blaze. Narina playing the Chromie. And Duke of Sky playing Kael'thas.
And in the red trunks on the right side of the map, it is Demonic Entity Within. We've got Erendril on the Rainer, Pezzo on ETC, Luigi G on Artanis, Guinevere on Jaina, and Kurama on Morales.
You know, I didn't actually ask ahead of time how you pronounce Luigi G's name, so that's just what we're gonna have to go with from this here on out.
I mean, it's Luigi, but with 2 G's. It's like Luigi G.
So, offlane Uther. Tell me what you think about that.
On a scale of 1 to 10 Nexus thinks, I'm gonna have to give it like 5. Actually, you see a little bit of damage going out on the urine drill, but they're okay with the Morales leash.
Yeah.
So.
I will say,
Didn't
Lionhouse
want
is doing a pretty decent job of getting those auto attacks in, and there's not a whole heck of a lot that Artanis can do about it. Like, he can push him out of lane a little bit, but he'll be able to heal himself up eventually, especially when he picks up that Holy Shock, presumably at level 4.
Yeah, you would assume so, but I mean it's not guaranteed. I already have seen. Oh wow, Blaze took a ton of damage. Nice shot there.
Yeah.
To confirm the kill.
So we do not have the Executioner getting picked up by Jimmy. It is Ace in the Hole, which makes perfect sense considering the team comp that they have drafted after we initially saw that Jimmy pick. It does give you a little bit less damage on this map, against the Immortal specifically, but with Jaina, it's a pretty significant boost.
Yeah, the difference isn't all that much, but you get so much more damage on enemy heroes, and enemy heroes are good to kill, so yeah, overall, I think it's a good choice, but I wouldn't blame them if they went the Exterminate on 1.
So we did see the Uther have to back as well, because he did get brought pretty low and doesn't want to tap this early in the game.
Thought he tapped.
It looked like his
Uther's
health
definitely
was too high.
tapped. He is tapped as of 35 seconds ago.
Alrighty, which means it will be up during halftime of the Immortal, for sure. But we do have just a little bit of an XP lead, about a half a level lead coming over for Demonic Entity within.
You know, one thing I hadn't considered is that Uther's quest is already done. It's 2.5 minutes in between an Artanis and a bunch of minions. That quest is actually going to be complete before 2:30, so that's going to give him the battle momentum on the hammers. That's going to do a lot of work on Artanis in general. He's really going to be stunned out of a lot of scenarios, and going to have a tough time engaging, but again, the main threat is from Jimmy and Jaina, so we'll have to see how Linehouse handles that kind of scenario.
We do see Bread Rising Yeast Sports going for the immediate cap on their Bruiser camp, whereas Demonic Entity are actually holding it for when the objective is actually going to come up. Raynor did go back so they can get topped off on health and mana before the objective, and now as the Immortal's coming up, they should be capping that. There it goes.
Yeah, surprisingly, a little delayed. Gonna let Bread Rising do a little bit of burn, but actually that's not a little bit, that's a fairly significant lead. Artanis gets time trapped. Stun does not come out from Snag, but that's alright. Louis GG is going to be in trouble and dead. Good power slide actually might get the Uther here. Yes, it does. Nice little counter pickup here. And that's a 1-1 trade. Probably favors Demonic Entity here.
Yeah, because they could, at this point, they could just send Jimmy over to race and have 3 people on defense, and I don't think there's a lot Bread Rising Esports can do about it.
Yeah, and eventually Jimmy can rejoin with the team, have Artanis come in and do all the burning, since Jimmy's a better poke hero, so yeah, again, this is kind of what you've got to do as Bread Rising is win fights decisively, and that wasn't quite there.
Yeah, they got a very good early pick, but the counter kill coming out from that fantastic ETC slide into a Mortal Stun into being in a blizzard the whole time really worked out well for Demonic Entity. And we do have the nice aggressive position for the Immortals, which I think still favors Demonic Entity, but Bread Rising Esports chunking in more damage, honestly, than I would have expected, and actually going to pick up the Immortal.
Wow.
With 184 hit points left.
Talking about small things that make a difference. I mean, Jaina, ETC, and Morales all were kind of just chilling, playing a little bit of defense in a very non-defensive scenario. Uradrill actually in a ton of trouble. Gets Blaze Stun, Time Trap, no Uther here to create the follow-up stun, but is separated from the Morales, so that is a confirmed kill, and really at a bad time for Demonic Entity.
And they were even able to pick up about half of the XP globes that had found themselves in that lane. So not even losing out on the minion XP for picking up that kill.
Yeah, that's all wins right here. Thankfully, the Immortal, for Demonic Entity that is, the Immortal is pretty low. Only takes a little bit of Jaina and tower work to take it out, but that will be at minimum the well taken by Bread Rising, so
I will say,
seems like a good Immortal phase.
Pizzo is very aggressive with his slides in. If at some point he tries that while Uther is in the team fight, things can go very poorly for them very fast.
Yeah, a ton of survivability for ETC is built around that trait, and if you slide in and then can't follow up with any of your follow-up abilities, you're going to lose that 25 armor so incredibly quickly. And you'll just kind of evaporate, get turned into ground beef.
That is actually double cleanse coming over from the side of Red Rising Esports. A little bit of a gank attempt coming out onto Linehouse. Unfortunately, Louis GG does miss the swap that would confirm that kill. But that is a lot of ability to resist being crowd controlled, and I don't think you generally want to be crowd controlled, especially by a big old mosh pit or ring, if that's what they decide to go into.
Yeah, and I really like that decision. It limits the engaged capabilities of demonic entities, so seems kind of neat. I like this Uther. This is kind of like the classic Uther build. The support-ish, but can't really heal a whole lot. It's more of the kind of bruisery variant.
Duke of Sky is actually chunking in a ton of damage on the ETC. Pretty much gonna have to blow the entire yellow bar for Morales to get the rest of the team topped off. But that means gonna have a tough time actually mounting the defense that we had established early in the game that we think that they need to. And now with a couple of talents under his belt, Linehouse is doing a lot better against Louis GG than he was at level 1.
Yeah, Holy Shot coming in for a good bit of value, and constant stuns are really keeping him at bay, and Uther doesn't have mana problems once he completes that quest, so that works out. Good time trap is actually going to hit Yerndil pretty hard. Pizzo goes in, tries to disrupt, and takes a good bit of damage as a result. Gets stunned out by Linehouse. Looks like he will escape with a little bit of health, but again, that's going to force Demonic Entity back onto the defensive, as 10s are going to be picked up pretty imminently here for Bread.
And we already have, obviously, Chromie picking up her ultimate, going for the Temporal Loop, not actually using it in that previous fight to try and parlay that advantage. They are actually pretty low in mana. This is one of the issues you can run into with Anderhall Anomaly, throwing out all those extra time traps, but you don't get any mana reduction on it, so gonna have a difficult time actually taking a team fight at this point if Demonic Entity decide that they want to take one. Actually, Linehouse finds himself maybe on the wrong side of the law. Another unfortunately missed swap coming out from Louis GG. However, that is going to be the power slide securing the kill with the power of that Purifier Beam.
Yeah, and taking a look, we do have a Fast Combustion, D-Storm, Ancestral Phoenix, and Luke coming out on the side of that. Ooh, there's the swap that he's been looking for. Mosh actually sections out the back line. Rhaegar cannot bring the heals while he is dancing. Duke of Sky is able to escape, though. Counter Combustion comes in from Shenanigans and does hit, but it's not going to actually convert into anything, and halftime is procced in favor of Demonic Entity.
That was one of the biggest mosh pits I've seen that didn't actually lead to a kill. A little bit
You
surprised.
weren't on Weenus' stream.
I was not on Weenus' stream. We did see most of these ults get used already. However, we do have the Stim Drone coming out purely for the Immortal Burn. They are going to punish Arundel for that positioning, however, as a lot of tank CC comes out. Even the loop is going to get put into Arundel and finally gets taken out. A little bit of missed focus fires. A lot of damage was being put into Artanis at the same time. However, that is going to be the successful defense coming up from the side of Red Rising Esports. Finishing out the ults for Demonic Entity, they have the Rainer's Raider, the Mosh Pit, which we already saw, Ring of Frost. And yeah, we've already seen the Purifier Beam and Stim Drone. A lot of damage actually coming out from Snag and Linehouse. Are going to be able to take the Jaina out in a 2v4.
What?
That's
what? Tell me I didn't just see that. What the heck?
I mean, it's pretty good when you get that Uther armor on top of a blaze, and you're just kind of wailing on the enemy team. Jaina kind of out in front, but with that much CC, it's hard to not be sometimes.
Yeah, I'm just surprised they confirmed the kill through a Morales heal beam. I mean, that should be... That's an Artanis or a Blaze. It's a Blaze and an Uther. That's not revered for their DPS, so that is an impressive kill, but nonetheless, it does allow Red Rising to take the second Immortal of the game and push onto this bottom fort.
Yeah, and they do have Uther split out for the Soak in the top lane, getting a big combustion coming out onto ETC and Arundel. Arundel in, once again, kind of a bad space. However, is going to get a little bit of peeling from ETC, but not enough peeling, as that is actually Jimmy going down. We do have the loop coming in on ETC, not quite able to combo all of the abilities. However, Pizzo is still going to go down from that. Karama also finds himself in a bit of a rough spot, are able to knock some members of Red Rising Esports away with that concussion grenade, or whatever the heck it's called. And we now have
There are a lot of grenades
there
in
are
this game.
quite a few grenades. Luigi did get to the top lane trying to mount a defense against the 4-minion Linehouse aggression. Are able to do it just barely, although with enough holy shocks, that building's still going to go down.
Yeah, and it will irritate Ektar to no end forever that Holy Shot can be used on buildings.
Makes no sense.
Which, but, you know, it's a mechanic and it exists, so you use it while you can.
Yeah. Got a bit of a map rotation coming up from Red Rising Esports. Haven't decided where they're going to try and engage next. Looks like they're just going to crash into that top fort. It's a really safe call from them. They are up that 13 talent tier, and it was so low. There's not really much that Demonic Entity can do about this. Outside of picking up their Bruiser Camp to try and get that XP differential a little bit more in their favor. Good follow-up CC from that swap coming out from Pizzo is going to secure the Uther kill. And I like, actually, that Demonic Entity are backing out. They're still down 13. And they had a couple of really low health bars, particularly on that Artanis, so I love to see a kill and then back away when you don't want to overextend and potentially lose a hero.
Yep, definitely. One thing I want to note here is that we mentioned the double cleanse earlier, but I haven't actually heard a boom cleanse go off yet. And maybe I just haven't been hearing it or haven't seen the impact of it. But I would expect it to be spammed a lot more with how often they'll be able to use it. So need to make sure one way or the other that they're getting value out of that important double level 7 pickup.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I've not heard too many cleanses coming out yet either, especially considering, again, they've got 2 of them. We do have a big charge coming in from Shenanigans. Puts a ton of damage out onto Mama Morales, and she's going to go down super fast. Luigi G is going to get hit with the loop. Does not get blown up, however, it is the Jaina that is the next to follow. Arendelle is taking some big damage. We did see ETC falling as well. There's going to be the Luigi G going down, and Linehouse is on the chase for Arendelle. Going to get on that Celestial Charger, see if they can't find the Jimmy.
It's good.
They
mount
do find the
combination.
Jimmy, and that is going to be Jimmy going down with the power of Holy Shock and the Well Met.
Yeah, that is in fact well net picked up on 13, but the more important part is that 5 for 0 going to fully secure halftime and the full time of the Immortal, and it was a late stagger on the Jimmy, almost an error to stall out that long, as he'll only be coming back up here in 5 seconds or so.
Yeah, there's really not much that Demonic Entity can do at this point with this objective other than try to make a good defense of it. And it looks like it should be spawning in the top lane, yes. Yeah, slightly more defended in the top lane.
Ever so slightly, so yeah, this is going to be tough for Demonic Entity. They're down level 16, and
ETC
already
just
Bread
slide.
Rising moving in. Yeah, and he's in a tough spot here. There is no Uther immediately available. Gonna take a Divine Storm right to the Mama Morales. Linehouse does not receive the Ancestral in time, got to a very low amount. Huge Mosh comes in, followed up by the Ring, and it looks like the hubris and the aggression of Bread Rising Esports is going to punish them. That I say, the counter combustion comes through, along with the Chromie, is doing an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage with the kill onto ETC, and you know, that wasn't as crippling as I expected it to be.
Unless Arendelle still goes down here, then it could be. But they are able to walk away. That might be the first time I've seen an Artanis Q actually save someone from taking more damage.
Yeah.
Ooh, Arendelle taking quite a lot of damage from the Dragon's Eye. Snag does try to go in, misses the jet propulsion, and is going to take a ton of damage from Arendelle. However, I didn't even see how Jimmy died just there. It was very sudden.
That's Peel with damage and 2 Chromie echoes is what that is.
That'll
That's
do it.
the truest definition of peeling with damage.
Yep, and that almost went horribly for Bread Rising Esports, and then Chromie said, not in this timeline.
That almost went just as badly for Bread Rising, though. Both teams really just barely averted disaster through the whole thing. That Mosh Ring combination could have turned into a full team wipe before the Immortal even showed up.
Bring up the level 16 talent. And actually, I hadn't commented on this yet at any point. We have Blizzard build coming out from Jaina, which is very interesting and I think can get a lot of value with the ring combos. However, we haven't seen a ring combo leading to maybe as much as you might expect quite yet.
Do have a bush party set up with a time trap.
Forest.
Yeah, and there it is. And that's all. That's all it did. Not a whole lot, but nonetheless, it does give them warning as to what's going on. A little bit of an interesting Purifier Beam. I wonder if they're looking for an engage and just didn't evaluate it correctly.
Yeah, it's very premature. We do have the Rip Spray coming out from Linehouse, appropriately timed, I have to say.
Yep.
Pretty premature Purifier Beam coming out from Artanis there.
Yep. Carrix was like, "Are you sure about that one?" And he goes, Artanis like, "Absolutely, bring down the Purifier." Ended up Carrix just lasered some paint on the ground, so unfortunate, but it might be up for halftime, depending on how these teams posture, since they are in the defensive positions.
And honestly, it might be the single weakest ultimate in this game that we're currently watching. So it's maybe not a huge deal that it's down right now. It's not really a playmaker so much as it can help you get positioning.
Yeah, or follow-up. It actually does a ridiculous amount of follow-up CC damage.
A little bit of damage coming out onto Pizzo, just getting chunked from this double mage comp coming out from Red Rising Esports, and we do now have the piercing Sandblast coming out from Chromie, so she can chunk people behind the Immortal now, and that's actually a really big deal.
I think just as big of a deal is that she can always chunk the Immortal, no matter which people are in front. I think that's almost a bigger deal. As you see, the Immortal's already down about 2/3 of its first half health. As the engage comes out, Party of None going down in the mosh pit, but a good D-Storm from Linehouse with the shenanigans combustion is going to confirm 2 kills. Nice jet propulsion over to the side to get Erendrill, also taking out Luigi G on the Artanis with the other members of the team. And again, looks like a full team fight win going on to the side of Red Rising.
And to add injury to further injury, there was a Bruiser camp pushing in the bottom lane this whole time, and it's now just pushing out onto Keep. Red Rising Esports deciding what Immortal, we can just go take the game after we stop for a side of ETC. And there's really not much that Demonic Entity can do about it. This is definitely going to be game number 1 going in favor of Red Rising Esports.
Yeah, and you know what? We said they'd have to win multiple fights decisively to take Immortals, and they absolutely did that. Every fight was forced due to the large amount of poke, and yeah, they were able to win the game off the back of that, so well done to them.
Well done indeed. Let's go ahead and update our overlays. Throw the win number 1 to Red Rising Esports. And let's check out this here summary screen. Wow, that is a lot of Chromie damage.
Always is, man.
Artanis did win the siege damage, but never really in the areas that you wanted it to. It was clearing lanes that was pushed in their direction more than it was, pushing opposing buildings.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is what happens when no Immortals are won, and you constantly have to just make a defense on your side of the map. So let's see, just judging by what do we have? This could go to Shrines, could go to Alterac. Those are the 2 maps Demonic Entity Within played before. They might yield first pick. I can't tell that here in Hero's Profile, just from the broad overview. Map pick. They've definitely picked Alterac.
They have opted for map pick. We have not yet find out what map that's going to be.
Well, they picked them both last time, so Alterac and Shrines. They won on both of them, so
yeah, coming into this, we have Red Rising Yeast Sports was dominated by Boogan Squad, and Demonic Entity Within had dominated Chaos of the Waking Dragon.
Is that a spin-off of the old Order of the Sleeping Dragon team?
I believe it is. I don't know that there is a lot of
they're exact opposites.
Player overlap, but I think that the reference is definitely there. We are going to Infernal Shrines.
Yay. Diablo Day. But also, Infernal Shrines is just a yay. I want to look at that Chromie build for just a JK. The Chromie build was kind of interesting. I think it was like full Sandblast because we had a. What was on 7? Whenever you hit a slow to rooted or CC'd, I think it's slowed, rooted, or stunned enemy, you get 25% bonus damage. Then we had the red sand on 16, whatever that one is. It's not overdrive and it's not spell power. So I forget which one that is. Might be, but and then obviously piercing sands on 20. So let's what can demonic entity to come back and change this game, change the series back?
They did a pretty good job during the laning phase. It was really the team fights that I think really went in favor of Red Rising Yeast Sports. So I'm a little bit surprised that Demonic Entity decided to go for this map in particular. It is very team fight heavy.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Oops, that's not where you're supposed to go.
Nope.
Make player. That looks right. Let me check my roster here, verify that that is in fact right.
That is correct.
Okay.
So
We do have 2 of the members of Bread Rising Yeast Sports taking a victory bathroom break.
it's where all the good parties go down after the win.
If at any point you hear a loud crashing sound, I have a dog laying under my desk, and he keeps laying on the cord for my microphone. And at several points in time, he's almost tipped it over because he's shifted his weight. So, be warned.
Okay. I'll be warned. All right. Well, we do have match history for both of these maps, or for both these teams, rather. Last week, exactly 7 days ago, and even almost to the hour, Bread Rising picked this map. Yeah, played this map with an ETC Sylve, Imperial Lord, Greymane Ana. Demonic Entity last played this with Johanna, Leo, Ming Rainer, Lucio. So we'll see how much they want to stick to that trend or kind of go against it, see if they can get something else done.
I do know that last time that they played this map, I believe Demonic Entity actually ran a Varian, a taunt Varian, which has not been particularly meta
that was
for
on
a long time.
Alterac.
That was on Alterac, all right.
Yeah.
So then this was the map that Kurama actually played healer. Kurama also swapped roles. They were a Varian in one game and a Lucio in the other game. All right, we've got a couple of ours, so we're going to get on into this game now.
Sounds good to me.
There we go.
Woo! You have to go for that 5-second awkward pause, but nonetheless.
Yeah. It's the game deciding, are you sure? This is your last chance to back out.
Cancel. Yeah. Can Alt F4, but that's about it.
I mean, you can Alt F4 at any time before the last hero is actually drafted, and you can screw everybody.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if people who work on hotkeys especially have incidentally bound Alt and F4 to like set camera location and then just close their game. Then like, wow, my game's crashing every time I try and bind the hotkey. It's bound to Alt F4. Oh.
That would be hilarious, actually.
I got that post from the StarCraft subreddit. It actually happened.
Wow.
And then he realized, oh yeah.
That's one of those like base level Windows commands, huh?
Yeah, sure is. You cannot rebind that. Alt F4 will just kill your game and set the camera location hotkey.
I'm surprised actually that the game doesn't let you know that that's the case.
Yeah, I had a good kick out of that and was like, Ektar would appreciate this.
We do have identical bans coming out from Bread Rising Esports, the Chen and the Lucio. And we've got the start No, not the same, because Kael'thas was actually played last game. So,
Yeah.
Kael'thas is fantastic on this map, but also maybe a little bit of a respect ban. Duke of Sky put in some pretty good work on the Kael'thas. And
the Hefe.
Garrosh, just opting... Did you say Melthael?
I said Hefe.
Okay, yeah, Hefe getting banned out as the second ban. That one staying the same. Just a hero that they don't particularly like playing against.
Yeah, you might have heard the L in El Jefe as Malthael.
That
Something like that.
Abandons no man.
Yes! Or Uther. This is... Where's Uther, main tank Uther? Where's that team? We need to at them and tell them to watch this series.
Also to tell them to actually play their namesake.
Did they not?
They don't do it consistently enough for my taste. We do
I
have the
can't
Joe
believe
getting
it.
picked up by Karama, because... Ooh, and a Manduin coming out, so...
And that's Luigi GG.
It is a very standard thing coming out from the two of them right now. Johanna, she's not the greatest engaged tank, but she's okay, and she's a very good defensive tank. Anduin is just good at following up on whatever your tank wants to do, so... Going into a pretty standard comp coming out from the side of Demonic Entity. And we have Lighthouse on the Blaze, and this time Duke of Sky gonna pick up the Gul'dan. A lot of people's Kael'thas that we have at home.
I mean, or is Kael'thas the Gul'dan we have at home? They both provide excellent wave clear, which is amazing. Good shrine clear, especially for Gul'dan, honestly. And can pump out just an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. So I think I kind of favor Gul'dan on this map, but like the slimmest of margins.
I will say that the name brand Kael'thas does come with that extra crowd control, which is increasingly important as you go up in the division list.
But our crowd control, Ektar, that is some high class crowd control right there.
It's true. It's true. We do have the Anna ban coming out from the side of Demonic Entity, which I believe they banned out previously, and the ETC getting banned out. ETC had a couple of really good power slides and a couple of really good power slides that led into mosh pits, so that's a nice, respectable ban, and also, although they've already got a Joe, that's maybe a bit of a surprise ban. I liked it right up until I didn't.
Yeah, it makes me go, maybe maybe there's a double tank composition where you take this beefy front line to take ETC to cover up Johanna's weak engages and stuff like that. I mean, it's possible, but not anymore. So, I mean, if you don't have a lot of scouting information, I guess it's fine.
I like that they open with the Uther pick on Shenanigans, because they didn't play healer in the first game. And, yeah, going into quite obviously a tank Uther at this point. But it doesn't give anything away, really. So I think it's a smart drafting decision coming out from them. Yeah. We do have, once again, favoring the double mage comp coming out from Bread Rising Yeast Sports with the tank Uther plus healer and Blaze. So really doing...
This is
off-lane Uther.
This is the same setup as last time.
Yeah.
Except that they have swapped... Well, we'll see if they swap or not as the last pick Leo gets taken here. But
I don't know that Leo is going to do fantastically against a laning Uther. Although we do still have Snag, a.k.a. Shenanigans, hovering the Uther. So it looks like they are going to be staying on it. Probably. Yeah, no last second swap. So just tossing around who gets to play the Uther in this game.
Yeah, I think that means it will be a tank Uther Blaze offlane. I think they'll stick with the player role and rather than the hero role, which is...
Definitely agree.
It's pretty cool watching him just toss it around. That's neat little flexibility there for Bread Rising.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I really actually liked the Uther in the soul lane in that particular kind of a lane arrangement against the Artanis on that map. I don't think I would like it as much on this map, and especially not against a Leoric, who can just destroy the waves so fast and also get that percentage damage out at the same time. I don't think it'd be as good in this position, so I'd like to see them actually stick Lighthouse in the top lane this time, again.
You know what they could do? Which I think they'll send Blaze to the off lane, but if they Don't. I think Demonic Entity should send Phoenix up. Shut down that Ether.
That's an interesting thought there, but we do have once again spawning in the Blue Trunks on the left-hand side. They are Bread Rising Yeast Sports, with Linehouse playing the Blaze, Shenanigans playing the Uther, Narina playing the Orphan, McGiblets playing the Ariel, there we go, and Duke of Sky playing the Gul'dan.
And in the red trunks on the right side, trying to bring this to a game 3, we do have Demonic Entity within. Kurama on Johanna, Luigi G moving to Anduin, Pizzo playing Leoric, Guinevere playing Li Ming, and Urine Drill trying to make that E sound. It's Urine Drill on Phoenix. Ugh.
So I had thought they might put Gul'dan in the off lane, but it seemed maybe even too ridiculous. And especially now that he's corruption build, why is he in the top lane?
What is this?
Bread Rising Yeast Sports, what do you know?
That's exactly how I feel right now. But Phoenix takes an absolute truck ton of damage early, and it's already going to have to tap. But again, an important motto is that it is before the 1 minute mark, so it will be up in time for the next objective. We will say that, and that'll become a drinking game for the Ace and Nectar podcast.
I can't wait until we're popular enough to have our own drinking game.
Our team probably drinks every time we say that.
To be fair, I don't think anyone on our team drinks that much.
That's a good point, but look, it could still happen. It's just emphasis on how much we say it.
All the damn time. We do have the first camp going over in favor of Bread Rising Esports, but Demonic Entity within, they are going to follow suit very quickly. Kurama does scout out their opponent's camp, is not really in a position to do anything about it, especially if we get a couple rotations coming in. Are actually going to try and make a play over here. They do just, pop the condemn, walk in with D, and then walk away. However, Snag is going to try and put some damage in onto him. Orphan gets a little bit of damage as well with that Dread Wave. Haunting Wave? What the hell is her E called?
That is Dread.
Just Dread, alright. Narina
Yeah,
going in for the very aggressive chomp onto Arendelle. Doesn't actually do very many hit points worth of damage. Does get the shield chunked out pretty hard, though. And I like how active McGiblets is with the crown swapping.
Yeah, I like that too. It's really, if you can get abilities that are in flight, like the Leeming Missile Orb combo, or just keeping it on Orphea for the standard sustained damage, that is in fact what it's called, you can really get a lot of extra mileage out if you're careful about it. So I like it. That's what I'm saying.
So it looks like Duke of Sky is doing pretty okay in the soul lane, not doing fantastic, and obviously not stacking the Echoed Corruption as much as you'd probably like at this point in the game, but it's going okay for them, and I think that having the double mage is going to be really good for them when the objective phases start coming up, like it is right now.
I'm trying to find the freaking tab for XP. There it is, by each player. Leoric is about 300 or so ahead in XP, so Gul'dan did miss about 5 minions compared to Leoric during that, so I would say that's within acceptable bounds, but
is also still in the top lane, probably going to get clear that Bruiser camp. Taking that Bruiser camp does mean that there's 16 minions taken by Bread Rising Esports before Demonic Entity can even start to step in here. A little bit of damage being put out onto the back line, however McGiblets did have a full bar of hope to heal basically all of that back up. We do have Gul'dan rotating in now. Really good whip coming out from McGiblets. They're going to put a ton of damage into Pizzo, and they are going to be the first blood in this game.
Yeah, and there's a fight up at the top with Arendelle and Gul'dan, but that basically gets broken up. Another good whip is going to go into a 4-month CC train, but Johanna did find a break in that and pressed D and walked away, so nice job there. Leo actually respawning just in time for the Immortal to be taken by Bread Rising Yeast Sports.
Yeah, and it looks like we are going to have Gul'dan rotating out to match Leoric in that XP. They didn't actually pick up very much in mid lane. I think Linehouse might try to catch that on the way back in. But going immediately to the top lane so they can at least make sure that Demonic Entity aren't able to get an XP lead off of their Immortal.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to point out in that last fight, Johanna want to finish the Condemn quest, the Subdue.
If she had
but
it.
unfortunately didn't have it.
Huge
Was
stun
level
coming
6.
out from Linehouse, though. Not bothering to pick up that mid lane XP, instead getting the giant stun out into Karama and Arundel. Not able to finish either of those kills, but gets Phoenix down low enough that he's got to back out for at least a little bit, let that shield recharge for some time.
Yeah, it did cost Anduin his Leap of Faith, so that's an important cooldown. Will be up in time for next Immortal phase, but it is a cooldown that could matter during this kind of invade scenario that could be coming down.
Yeah, especially with as much damage as is being chunked out into Leo. He can't make it down to this fight. Actually, Phoenix is the first go down. Gul'dan doesn't even need to rotate in. They are able to get the successful invade on that camp.
Yeah, 3 members retreated out to the bottom right of that camp, and Phoenix was left out for the Wolves, and ended up just getting stunned in the corner and killed. So, good aggressive invade there from Red Rising, and they continue kind of their aggressive teamfighty playstyle that's worked well for them.
Yeah, that's exactly why I was a little bit surprised that they were taken to this map, because it seems to favor Red Rising Esports' style of run aggressively at the enemy team and push CC buttons.
That's a pretty good combination, not gonna lie. Mages can't miss skill shots if the opponent's stunned, for the most part.
I've seen it.
You can see it. Man, I kind of wish I knew which team XP orbs were for. Kind of a pain that you can't tell.
I had never considered that before tonight, but yeah, it's really annoying. Another good pull coming out from Anduin. Arundel in a really bit of a rough spot. Have to get back to the Hall of Storms, it seems like.
Yep, a little bit of BBQ is all that was needed to finish that kill off. Firebats taking out Dragoons is a bit of a rare case, but, you know, it happens here.
Johanna walking deep into the enemy team, taking quite a bit of damage. We do have the Eternal Feast come out. Only going to chomp twice onto enemy heroes. That third one is going to miss entirely. We do have a Rain of Memes comp coming out, however, from the side of Red Rising Esports, deciding to add a little bit of jalapeno to that dough that they've got. So we do have the Bunker Drop, the Swirling Hammers of Holy Death, we've got the Chomp Chomp, we've got the Falling Meteors, and we've got the Crystal Aegis coming out from the side of Red Rising Esports.
Yeah, and looking at the ultimates here to deal with those, we do have Blessed Shield, a big question mark for Anduin. Could look for that salvation.
I would actually like
Planet
it.
Cracker. Planet Cracker Entomb combination. We had that used against us back in Season 7, and then a Disintegrate had another beam to it. We did end up getting Light Bomb.
Yeah, they are definitely going for the Magician stabbing boxes magic trick. We'll see if Red Rising Esports will be able to contort themselves in the proper way to avoid all of the beams.
Or if they just disappear.
Ooh, that would be a neat trick.
Alright, Second Immortal is starting up here in the mid lane. No team with any talent advantages, just 4% scaling for Red Rising. Good stun here is going to land on Johanna, forces out an early Light Bomb. There goes the Meme Beam and the Disintegrate, not out yet. But it does not end up getting the kill of the Crystal Aegis, saving McGiblet's life, and it is heal time for both teams, but one of them is going to have to do it in the Hall of Storms.
Yeah, that was a really good counter Crystal Aegis from McGiblets. Definitely would have died if they didn't have that cooldown up. And at this point we have all ultimates used with the exception of the Rain of Memes, which is still available and can actually chunk out a very significant amount of siege damage. Normally you end up seeing the Horrify because it helps you to win team fights, but if you can win the team fights without it and go for the extra damage, it's not the worst ult in the world. It's actually really decent.
Yeah, it is like the Rain of Siege damage is really what it is, but unfortunately, I don't know if I should be saying unfortunately. Yeah, I'm going to say unfortunately. Gul'dan's off laning. Come on, Gul'dan, get in here. I want to see some memes. Don't rain memes at minion wave. Go and do something fun.
I will say, if Leoric had to get brought down to the mid lane, he might use it during in the top lane to put some damage into that fort, especially if that's where the next objective does end up spawning. We do have another aggressive camp take coming up from the side of Red Rising Esports. Is sniffed out immediately from the side of Demonic Entity Within, and that was a huge Light Bomb into Condemn combo. A lot of damage. We do have the Rain of Vengeance being used to try and win this team fight. Arundel does get taken down, Hard to say if that was due in part to the Reign of Vengeance, but definitely because Gul'dan rotated down before Leoric was able to. And yeah, I think they're 3 for 3 on successful camp steals this game.
Well, considering they haven't taken a death, yeah, I think they're continuing to be successful. I don't think the Reign of Vengeance mattered, mainly because there is no Reign of Vengeance. It is a Reign of Destruction.
You're
Much
correct.
like grenade abilities, there are also lots of reigns.
There is a Reign of Vengeance, just not in this game, and
is.
it belongs to a Diablo character. A little bit of a hope and a prayer, kind of a Planet Cracker coming out there. There was no CC to follow up with. A lot of damage does get chunked out into Johanna. The D shield gets blown through immediately, and she gets taken down. Really good turnaround coming out from the side of Red Rising Yeast Sports. I actually kind of like Leo in the top lane. Looks like they're hearthing now. But trying to get them that level 13 to get some talent tier parity, as it's going to be hard for them to make this defense down a hero and a talent tier. At least if they were able to take that top lane, perhaps they would have been able to get a talent back on an even footing. But we do see Red Rising deciding to back out, maybe going to rotate up and take their camp. Looks like that's the direction that all of the little blue arrows are headed towards. And yeah, we see once again Duke of Sky going to rotate up to the top lane, make sure that they keep ahead in XP, even if they can't stay ahead in talent tiers.
Yeah, I think the big reason Red Rising couldn't push in is they didn't actually have any minions there. It looked like they did, especially with the camp, but that camp obviously stays out of range of the towers, and with Leo hearthing and all ultimates except the Planet Cracker available, that was kind of a dangerous thing. They're winning every team fight right now, so I don't mind that. Actually, Anduin gets absolutely obliterated. CC trained for days. Leo actually going to flank in behind this, but is not going to be in a great spot. It's going to take up a bunch of damage. Goes ahead and blocks terrain with the Entomb, and it will save his life, but Entomb is kind of their main win condition. It costs Entomb and Shield, so a little scary coming up right before an objective.
Especially considering they're already down a hero in that Anduin. It's going to be very difficult for Demonic Entity Within to try and actually push in and do anything. And their opponents already have position on the point, so it's going to be really difficult for Demonic Entity to actually come back on this point.
Yeah, and they've got about a 10-second window max before level 16 is picked up just by trickle XP, and that's a really significant talent tier. So Red Rising wisely pulls back, picks all the level 16 talents, and then they're going to re-engage in what's going to be a fantastic situation. We've got Benediction for extra stuns, Ruinous for 1 billion damage. Here comes some of the combos. Entomb is back up, but it doesn't land on anybody. Bunker gets disintegrated with the Meme Beam and all, and actually a kill onto Shenanigans, but a counter kill onto the Johanna does leave this at an even fight for now. Health bars seem to be roughly equal, and this will continue as a 4v4. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of corruption damage.
Yeah, they look equal, but there was no no gray bar above Arendel's red one where it should have been, indicating that they're actually much lower in health than their health bar would have indicated. So a much better position for Red Rising Esports. About as good of a fight as you maybe could have hoped for from the side of Demonic Entity Within, but fighting 4v4 down a talent tier is still a very rough prospect for them going further. They do have position, but it shouldn't be terribly difficult for Red Rising to just walk in there and, oh, that's a big stun. Oh, that was huge.
That was actually massive, and Duke of Sky gets a huge corruption to follow it up. Oh, wow, gets his stasis off in time. Here comes the yet another Entomb, but it is going to result in Leoric's being sent to his... My goodness, this corruption! They had families! Oh, God. That's there's the team wipe, and they'll go ahead and take a fort before going for the Immortal.
Have you heard of our Lord and Savior Ruinous Affliction?
God, I sure have. I sure have, Vectar, and that is that's a lot of damage every fight. Here comes a rain of memes. It's barely even going to hit the keep. It takes 4 hits. 4 hits.
It did most of that minion wave as well.
Oh, that is... Gul'dan is lacking in wave clear, so it's a good thing he went ahead and dropped the meteors on it to pick him up.
We are going to get a little bit of a holy shock down to finish out that mid fort as well. And I really like this play coming out from the side of Red Rising Esports, not putting too much emphasis on getting the objective taken out, see what you can do for free, and then actually, finish out with the Immortal.
Ugh, look at all those XP globes just missed in mid. There's 6 of them. Orphea killed the entire wave and walked away.
That feels bad, man, that you don't get it from last hitting.
Yeah, I agree. Leo gets hit with a big charge. Johanna gets a light bomb, but I don't think it landed on anything significant. The Ruinous Affliction, my god, don't stand in the lines. Mean Beam goes ahead and almost takes apart a bunker. Leo once again in a lot of trouble, along with Kurama being sub 300 hit points. Everybody's going to get out with their lives, but that is going to be forfeit on the keep and possibly the core, as the Immortal still looks pretty healthy charging in.
Yeah. Red Rising Esports have been put in a lot of pretty big entombs, but they just kind of run at the Leoric and everybody else, and oh my god, that's so much damage. That is almost Li Ming popping off and doing what they needed to, but just barely able to walk away in time. The 1.5 healers that they have is enough to actually top them off the rest of the way. That is the 3-for-0 kill in that final team fight. They did end up giving 1 kill over in this game, so not quite a shutout coming out from Red Rising Esports, but still a very convincing 2-0 from them.
Yeah, man, it was, when you look at that fight again, right there, you just go, scaling. If you just have, like, 10% less scaling, Li Ming pops off 3-4 kills and they're back in this game down no more than a level, but that is only a hypothetical, not what happened in this universe. Instead, Red Rising does take it 2-0, and I'll keep talking to give Ektar plenty of time to contact somebody to try and get an interview. So, yeah, well played, especially from Red Rising. Good comeback after their first domination loss earlier this. And, yeah, oop, you stayed on draft the entire time. R.I.P.
During that whole game?
Whole game.
Fuck!
Yeah, it's not too bad. Everything's still visible. It's just awkwardly positioned in the middle.
That's unfortunate. At least I wasn't on this screen the whole time, the between game screen. That would have been a true nightmare.
That would have been the radio cast of a lifetime. But they got what they needed to hear. There's the Ariel Gul'dan, the Bestow Hope gives 10% spell power, plus the Ruinous Affliction, definite MVP of that game.
Absolutely. So we're going to get shenanigans going in, so we're going to hop into, looks like, lobby number 2, see if we can meet up with them.
Is it shenanigans a caster? Can't he just join us, technically?
Maybe.
There's a limit on the channel.
Hey,
what's up?
Hey.
Congratulations.
Oh, Ektar's breaking out.
Ektar's alt-tabbing.
He sure was. I was getting back.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
That was real well played, especially with the Uther. Look, I'm a fan of Uther. It's probably the only healer that I'm more of a fan of than Ektar. So it was fun watching the play between 2 Uther players that series.
But Uther as a healer or Uther as anything else?
Yes.
Uther's not a healer.
Exactly.
Uther is everything. He's an assassin, he's a support, he's a tank, and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of, you ran Uther in the off lane in game number 1. Is that something you do often, or is that something you're trying to pull out a little bit sneaky like?
I'd say it's probably something that we're really trying to keep close to the breast of our plans ahead of time. We do some last minute swaps to keep people, on their toes of what they think might be the draft and who's going to play what.
Yes,
You kept us on the toes.
You sure did. You ended up playing the same hero on 2 different players. So what kind of determines who's going to play Uther in what game? And if it had gone to a game 3, who would have played Uther there?
I mean, I think it really kind of rises to the occasion of who we play each time. We definitely make sure that we have all of our, all the bread in the basket of our plan going into it and who can play what. And we have a list of heroes that aren't really sour about what they want to play.
How many bread puns do you have written out on your desk to slide into this interview?
I was about to ask.
I've heard
All right,
about 4 so far.
yeah. How are you? You got bread and rising. So how are you going to pun in yeast into a reasonable sentence?
We'll see how it goes.
All right.
I gotta really like Pillsbury up here from and dig deep of ideas.
Yeah, so you opted for Battlefield of Eternity. Is that a map you obviously you'd like to play on other days, but you probably wouldn't have picked it. But how does that map suit your team's style of play?
I mean, I think from what we kind of had a plan, just kind of go. We just kind of picked. Okay, this is the heroes that we kind of want to play this week, and just see if it works. And we actually had a different plan going into it, and like the yeast thing we could do is try to at least do the double healers. And unfortunately, they banned Ana, and we were actually really wanted to pick Ana there as part of our original plan, but we just weren't able to do it.
I'm dead. I'm dead. Well done.
Yeah, we noticed that you did end up going for 1.5 healers and 2 mages in both games. Is that the Bread Rising Yeast Sports special?
I mean, it can be if you want to be.
It's what popped out of the oven today.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we were
God.
we were trying to fold it into the play style and make sure that we had all of the spread of heroes played.
You're killing us.
After game number 1, your opponents took you to Infernal Shrines, which surprised us quite a bit because the things that it seemed like were going really well for your team were the team fights, and Infernal Shrines is like the smallest team fightiest map that there is other than Tomb, which was already banned out. So is that a map you felt comfortable on going into it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think I'm actually surprised that they went to Infernal and not try to pull out something weird after already showing double healer. Like Infernal is a brawly map, and double healers is like the best brawly meta. So, I mean, maybe they're expecting us to do something different.
So I know that this was Duke of Sky's doing more than yours, but Gul'dan in the off lane with Echoed Corruption and also Reign of Memes all in the same game. Can you explain any part of that thought process? Because we were flabbergasted at multiple points during that game.
I'm kind of unfortunately, I'm out of puns. I'm trying to read my list that I had. Yeah, also with their draft of Leoric, we're like, okay, well, Blaze is going to go at best on par with Leoric, and they have the same amount of wave clear. I think Leo usually has a little bit better wave clear. So we're like, you know what? We have double mage. We have all the wave clear in the world. Just throw Gul'dan in there, and then he can kind of beat Leoric at his own game. And then as far as Reign of Destruction, we're a Blaze and an Uther. You can't follow up behind a Punisher after a gate. So, a lot of times if you have other type of tanks, I can't reach with stuns. Blaze can't reach if there's a gate there. So we're like, just do some siege damage. Get something out of it.
All right, fair enough. Ace, you got anything else?
I've got nothing more. Other than if we do an interview again, you better have another round of bread puns coming out.
Yeah, I mean, bread is a metaphor for basic necessities in the world, and it's a staple in many cultures. So you definitely have to make sure it's involved in everything you do. And we really try to keep it really close to the breast.
I will say you did a really good job of proving your worth in the series.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
So, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for casting us.
Yeah. Thank you for putting on a good show.
And obviously, thanks for the other team as well. I know they were both games kind of seemed kind of stompy, but they were fun, and it's definitely for us is a lot better from last week where we got stomped. So.
Yeah,
it always comes around.
Actually, a complete turnaround from last week. Last week, y'all got dominated, and Demonic Entity did the dominating. So, really looking forward to seeing how the rest of B East is going to shape up. It doesn't look like at the moment that there's like a real standout. Oh, this is the obvious number 1 seed team, which always more interesting to watch.
Yeah, we gotta see who rises to the occasion.
You already said that one too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? There's only so many. Okay.
I gave you the one that I could think of that you hadn't done already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, well, good luck to Demonic moving forward as well, and yeah, you guys have a good night.
Yeah. Thank you for coming by and being so entertaining.
All right. See ya.
All right.
All
Back
right.
to the bunker.
Back to the bunker. All right, so I think that's about it for us. You got anything, Ace?
No. Although I wish all interviews were that entertaining. You know, it's sometimes awkward because I don't like to dig into the gameplay too much. I know teams kind of like to. They have their own thing and they kind of keep the strat. So it's fun just to have a pretty funny conversation overall.
Yeah,
Even if
especially
it
when you
is
can stick to a
overbred
theme
puns.
that hard.
That's impressive. That is
Oh,
pretty impressive.
you had the bread team sticking with their
Sure
puns
did.
pretty hard.
There you go.
All right, I'm gonna stop because otherwise I'm never gonna stop trying to make bread puns out of this cast. So, thank you once again for coming and casting with me, Ace. Always a really good time. And thank you everyone for coming by. Thank you for the couple of follows we got, and appreciate it. We will see you probably sometime next week.